Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome to Novorossia Rocks Radio Station. This is Zak Novak, your American in downtown Donetsk. The program is Projekt Guru, and Guru, as always, is in the house. Guru, thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. And my engineer, Andre. Surrender or die. Syrian Air Force dropped thousands of leaflets over Jisr al-Shogur. On Sunday afternoon, the Syrian Arab Air Force dropped thousands of leaflets over Jisr al-Shogur, demanding that the Islamist rebels from Jisr al-Fateh Army of Conquest surrender the entire city to the Syrian Arab Army, SAA. The leaflet read that if Jisr al-Shogur is not surrendered to the Syrian armed forces, then the latter will take it upon themselves to liberate the city, with no quarter given to the enemy units. Currently, the Syrian armed forces are quickly approaching Jisr al-Shogur from the Aleppo-Latakia Highway, M4 Highway. It is very likely that they can be at this strategic city gates by March if the Islamic rebels are unable to forestall the government advance in the northeastern Latakia. Viva Tiger Forces, Viva SAA, Viva Assad. Saudi troops flee as Yemeni forces take control of military base in Saudi Arabia. Yemeni army forces, backed by fighters from allied popular committees, have gained control of a military base in Saudi Arabia's Najran province. Yemen's Arabic language Al Masirah news website reported that as part of the retaliatory campaign for relentless Saudi military attacks against the impoverished nation. Yemeni forces on Sunday managed to seize control of Nuhaka military base. The report said that Yemeni forces' attack on the base started with rocket fire and continued with ground offensive, forcing the Saudi troops to flee. Yemeni forces destroyed one military vehicle and an observation tower in this attack. They also seized a huge cache of munitions in the operation. Al Masirah also reported a separate retaliatory rocket attack by Yemeni forces on Sunday in the city of Rabouha in Asir province, destroying two Saudi military vehicles and an ammunition depot. Meanwhile, Saudi warplanes bombarded Kafir region in the northwestern Sadaf province 6 times on Sunday, killing 30 people, including women and children, according to Al Masirah. Al Masirah added that Yemeni authorities expect the death toll from these deadly bombings to increase. Yemen's official Sabah Net news agency reported that 6 Yemenis had been killed in a Saudi bombing attack in Bani Sabia region in Sana's province. The 6 dead were reportedly civilians riding in a car. Yemen has been under military attacks by Saudi Arabia since late March last year. The Saudi military strikes were launched in a failed effort to undermine the popular Houthi Ansarullah movement and bring the former fugitive president back to power. More than 8,300 people, among them 2,236 children, have been killed and 16,000 others injured since the start of the attacks. The vicious war crimes by Saudi Arabia, backed by the Obama regime. The strikes have also taken a heavy toll on the impoverished country's facilities and infrastructure, destroying many hospitals, schools, and factories. Well, here we go. Yemen forces inside Saudi Arabia taking over a military base. Bravo, Yemen. Guru, listen to this. Former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili may also soon become the former governor of the Odessa region, Ukrainian media reported today, citing their own sources. At the beginning of March, Mikhail Saakashvili may be dismissed as the head of the Odessa regional administration. The possibility of Saakashvili dismissal was announced by the acting deputy head of the Odessa regional state administration, Alexander Borovik. Viva Assad, Tiger forces victorious, full control eastern Aleppo. ISIS collapse. Early in the morning, Tiger forces entered and imposed full control over the villages of, please forgive me folks, I'm going to try to pronounce the cities, of Jub al-Safa, Kabara, Rayan, al-Halabiyah, Dakvana, Tal Istabil, Ain Sabil, and Tal Riman. As such, the Syrian Arab Army has now officially captured a large, previously ISIS-held pocket in eastern Aleppo, while simultaneously securing a safe pathway for government supplies from Aleppo city of Kouaris Air Base. According to Al-Masada source, only a few ISIS suicide bombers remained in the villages. Their main aim was to inflict maximum casualties upon advancing government soldiers. Apparently, hundreds of ISIS fighters had already managed to retreat towards Al-Bab prior to government government forces encircling this area. Nevertheless, dozens of improvised ISIS traps, mines, and bombs have been planted as to harass the Syrian Arab army's rapid advances in eastern Aleppo. Reportedly, many are yet to be dismantled, however. Syrian bomb disposal units are currently engaged with the task. Yesterday, government forces finally managed to capture the strategic Aleppo thermal power plant from ISIS fighters. This vital piece of infrastructure could very well enable a more steady stream of electricity to the people of Aleppo city in the months to come. Over the past month, Syrian government troops have gradually built a corridor from Aleppo city to Kouaris air base and carried out a pincer maneuver on ISIS fighters in the region. Since launching the offensive on the 23rd of January, elite Tiger forces of the Syrian Arab army have captured approximately 30 villages from ISIS militants. Furthermore, hundreds of government troops are reportedly in the process of being redeployed to the eastern Aleppo frontline as the Syrian Arab army is likely to attack either Deir Hafer or Al-Bab in the very near future. If the Islamic State loses these strongholds, they will be forced to flee towards their capital of Raqqa further east. Viva Assad, viva Tiger forces. The United States regime rejected North Korean peace talks. The U.S. State Department confirmed over the weekend that they rejected North Korean proposal for peace talks that was made just days before the nation's latest nuclear weapons test, the latest in a long line of attempts aimed at ending the Korean War, technically still ongoing from 1950. The State Department attempted to spin their own rejection as a North Korean rejection, saying they demanded North Korea agree to nuclear disarmament as part of the talks on ending the war. Since the North Koreans have long insisted they want peace first and disarmament after, the U.S. is claiming that the North both proposed and rejected the talks. Analysts say that it was unsurprising that North Korea didn't accept the counter-proposal, as it believes the only leverage it has on proposing peace talks is its nuclear development and doesn't want to give that up without assuring that the peace deal is coming along with it. The U.S., by contrast, has long insisted that it won't reward North Korea with peace while it continues to possess a nuclear weapons program. The view that being not in a state of war is a gift the U.S. can bestow only if it is placated, however, seems a recipe for keeping the war going for decades more. Andre, your friends from Belarus, Syria to receive full backing and support from Belarus. President Bashar al-Assad received on Sunday a letter from President Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus, conveyed by Secretary General of the Communist Party of Belarus, Karpenko Igor Vasilyevich. Belarus president expressed his country's full support to the Syrian people and leadership against terrorism war, voicing his desire to continue developing the relations between the two countries in various fields. President al-Assad in turn expressed his appreciation of Belarus's stance as it previously underwent Western pressure similar to those currently facing Syria and has been able to win and stands its ground. He noted that the war in Syria is fighting against terrorism and its backers is part of a broader U.S.-led war waged by the West through their tools and agents in the region. This broad war, the president said, targets all the countries showing resistance to the Western hegemony and adherence to their independent decisions and people's interests, with the aim of this war being to draw a new map of the region and of the world. For his part, Vasilyevich said during his meeting with President al-Assad that his country believes in the need to unify the efforts of all countries supporting the Syrian people in the fight against terrorism, expressing his confidence that Syria eventually will be able to achieve victory and restore security to his territories. Bravo Belarus, bravo Syria. Guru, tragic over the weekend. Two Serbians from the embassy in Libya were killed by U.S. airstrikes, and what we're hearing was there was some negotiation talk that they were going to be freed. The U.S. Embassy expresses deepest regret for the tragic loss of Serbian hostages. Let me continue with this. The U.S. Embassy expresses deepest condolences to the families of the Serbian hostages Slađana Stanković and Jovica Stepić, who were tragically killed in Libya. Our efforts are intended to save innocent lives, and we profoundly regret the tragic death of these two Serbian officials, the embassy said. The statement says that the U.S. is grateful for Serbia's commitment as a partner in the counter to ISIS coalition fighting the scourge of international terrorism. Upon hearing the press reports, Ambassador Kyle Scott spoke directly with Prime Minister Vučić and Foreign Minister Dačić to express his profound regret and his sincere condolences of the American people for this tragic loss. However, However, Guru, listen to this. Serbian Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić confirmed Saturday that a U.S. airstrike carried out in Libya killed 2 abducted Serbian diplomats and provided the names of alleged kidnappers of Serbian citizens. The U.S. airstrike targeted a terrorist training camp in the northwestern Libyan town of Sabrata on Friday. Serbian officials have indicated that the 2 of their diplomats kidnapped last November were killed in the assault. The Serbian citizens and others incidentally fell victim to the conflict of foreign countries and foreign interests. According to the Serbian Prime Minister, the kidnapped diplomats would have been released if they had not been killed in the U.S. airstrike. The Prime Minister, citing intelligence information, said that the members of Ahmed Habashi's family who were engaged in kidnapping and smuggling people through Italy were likely behind the attack. Besides, according to Vučić, representatives of the U.S. side told him they were unaware that Serbian citizens could have been affected by the airstrike. 2 Serbian embassy staff members were abducted on November 29th near Sabrata. The incident took place when unknown people attacked a column compromising 3 vehicles, 2 diplomatic cars, and a security vehicle. Serbian ambassador to Libya, Oliver Potezic, also in the motorcade, but he escaped unharmed. Folks, let me break here. I'm going to bring in my co-host Natalia. She's going to talk about the anti-NATO protests over the weekend.
This weekend, 2 big rallies against NATO were held in Serbian capital Belgrade and Switzerland Zurich. Serbia protested against government's NATO deal call to Russia for help. Up to 1,000 dwellers of Serbia marched through the heart of Belgrade to the Russian embassy in protest at a new cooperation agreement with NATO and the death of 2 Serbian hostages during USA airstrike in Libya. Organized by the ultra-conservative nationalist Zavet and Obrast movements, the march proceeded peacefully, as the demonstrators took portraits of Russian President Vladimir Putin and military fatigues and held placards with the slogan "Expel NATO ASAP." One banner read "Putin for President," another Medvedev for Prime Minister, in reference to the head of the Russian government, Dmitry Medvedev. After marching past the buildings damaged during the NATO airstrikes in 1999, the throng came to a halt outside the Russian embassy, where several speakers implored Moscow, a traditional Serbian ally. The demonstration was prompted by the government signing a deal on Friday, guaranteeing diplomatic immunity and free movement to NATO troops. Prime Minister Aleksandar Vučić, himself a former nationalist and minister under Slobodan Milošević, has defended the decision, saying its critics are struck in the 17th century and insisting that Serbia is maintaining its sovereignty and wants to cooperate both with NATO and with Russian Federation. President Tomislav Nikolic has also said that there is nothing new or controversial about the deal, emphasizing that it is merely a matter of practical cooperation, which will also allow Serbian troops to move freely in other territories during international missions. Several of the speakers also blamed the West for the death of 2 embassy staff in Libya who had been abducted by Islamic State fighters and died on Friday in USA airstrike on a jihadist camp, along over 40 others. The Serbian government, which had been negotiating the release of the hostages, has condemned the deaths and demanded an explanation from the Pentagon. Moreover, participants of the rally in Switzerland expressed support to people of Novorossia. They had flags of the DPR, flags of the LPR and Novorossia. Anti-NATO protest was held in Zurich last Saturday. International manifestation with anti-NATO slogans gathered natives of Russia, Ukraine, Switzerland, Serbia, Germany. It was held on 20th February last Saturday, as I have already said. According to the announcement of one activist, Maxim Grow, one of the main purposes of the rally was protest against NATO. Many Serbians joined the rally because they are not content with law that was signed by their president Tomislav Nikolic that means that country join with NATO alliance. We are against NATO policy and we are in favor of peace in Donbass. We support the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, Maxim Grow explained.
All right, folks, again, horrific, tragic weekend. Over 130 now dead by U.S.-backed rebel terrorist ISIS in Syria. I think there were two, right? Guru, it was Damascus and Homs. A string of suicide bombings near a Shiite shrine outside Syria's capital and in Homs claimed by jihadis killed at least 127 people Sunday as Washington and Moscow worked to secure a ceasefire. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said a provisional deal had been reached on the terms of truce in Syria's brutal 5-year conflict, only for the bloodshed to intensify on the ground. Near Damascus, the attacks, including a car bombing, ripped through the area of the Shiite shrine of Zaida Zainab and killed 68 people, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said. And 2 car bombs killed at least 59 people and wounded dozens in the pro-government district of Al-Zahra in the central city of Homs, said the Britain-based monitoring group. The Islamic State jihadist group said it was behind the day's carnage. State television footage from Homs showed emergency workers carrying a charred body on a stretcher past devastated shops and mangled cars and minibuses. Al-Zahra, whose residents are mostly from the same Alawite sect of Shia Islam as Syria's ruling government, has been regularly targeted. ISIS said in an online statement that 2 jihadists drove explosive-laden cars into crowds of local residents. 2 more of its suicide bombers carried out at the Zaida Zainab bombings, the Sunni extremist group said. State television said a car bombing and 2 suicide attacks hit the area, killing 30 and wounding dozens in the preliminary toll, whereas the observatory gave the death toll of 68 in 4 attacks. And the FAP reporter said blasts struck about 400 yards from the shrine which contains the grave of the granddaughter of the Prophet Muhammad and is revered by the Shiites. At least 60 shops were damaged and cars reduced to mangled metal in the area where a January attack also claimed by ISIS killed 70 people. Again, horrific, bloody weekend. Please, Mother Russia, you're the only one who's helping and trying to destroy ISIS, and we thank you for that. We thank you, Putin. Viva Assad. Everybody, please, as I stress always, be safe out there. See you all on Wednesday. Bye-bye, folks.